Hello everybody, it's Wendy, and today we're going to be making a necklace using some Jesse James Beads products. So first of all, our encouraging word for today is you're one of a kind, and that is so true. There is no one that can take your place, no one that can do what you can do. You are one of a kind, so don't forget that. Remember, if you feel like you're not making a difference, you are one of a kind. So I have got my Jesse James Ambassador kit here, and in this I have fairy silk in a light blue color, which is really pretty. I have a mini mix, bead mix in sugar crystal. That's this. Now, I have added a few of my own blue beads in here. These are still Jesse James beads. They come from this little mix that I got at Walmart. So this little bit mix here, I just took the blue beads out because I wanted to kind of pull the blue from the fairy silk, okay? And then this also had these beads in them, but I'm not going to be using these beads in this necklace. I'll use them in something else. Those are Nectarine Dreams. So I'll have links in the description box below if you're interested in any of those beads. So here's what we're going to be making today. This is a different color one, but we're going to be making this little wire wrapped pendant piece, okay? And what you're going to need is, this is 18 gauge wire that I have work hardened, which basically means I took it outside and beat it to death with a hammer. So it just makes it hard so that it doesn't move around, your frame doesn't move around. But I just took a length of wire. First I took it out and pounded it, and I can't do that on video because it's just too loud. But I have a bench block, and my bench block did not get it hard. I don't know, it's not a very good one, I guess. So I actually took it out in the garage and did it on our concrete floor. And it makes it hard. And then I took it and bent it over this round pen. Where did my pen go? Bent it over this pen, and then I just shaped it the way I wanted it to be, and I pounded it a little bit more to get it kind of flat. So I've just created my own little frame here, okay? So you're going to need to do that. You're going to need your beads, whatever beads you want to use, and I'm going to be using this bead mix in sugar crystal, and I may use all these beads, I don't know, but these are the rest of them. So there's a whole bunch here. You're going to need a piece of fairy silk. I have a little, about, I think this is, let's see how long this piece is. It's about 8.5 inches, okay? I have a lobster clasp. He's a little elephant. I have 2 lengths of chain. Now that you can use any chain that you have, I just wanted to use this chain kind of because it brings the shape in here. I've got this similar shape here. I've got it cut in 2 lengths of about 14 inches each. Okay. You're going to need some 26 gauge wire, and we're going to be wire wrapping this. And I think that's about it, except for your jewelry tools once you make your frame piece. Now, if you don't want to do this shape, I mean, if you have a big circle frame, you could do that. You can use anything that you can string beads across with wire, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And if I've forgotten anything, we'll figure it out as we go. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round nose pliers here, and I'm just going to bend this back into a little loop. Okay, just like this. I'm going to flatten it down. And that's just so this sharp edge is turned under and not going to injure anybody. You could file it down if you wanted. I just figured I'd just turn it under. I think that's going to work just as well. Okay, so there we have it. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wire, and I'm going to take a pretty long length of this wire because I'm going to be wrapping several rows up and down this piece. So I want to do it in one continuous piece of wire if I can. I know it's a pain to have this big old piece of wire, but like I said, that's just kind of how I'd like to do it. So I'm just going to try to straighten it out a little bit here, which doesn't really work. It bounces right back. Okay, so I'm going to take this wire, and I am just going to start wrapping it on this frame. And I'm just going to take a piece and wrap it around several times here on the end. I want to try to make a nice little coil, so I'm trying to do it neatly. I'm going to take my pliers and mash that little piece down that is sticking up right there, okay? And then I'm just going to scoot this down, okay? And I'm just going to wrap a couple more times around. All right, so we've got our first little wrap on, whoops, and I'm going to start putting my beads on. Now what I'm going to be doing is stringing this across here like this and wrapping on the other side to create some little beaded strands across. So I have to figure out, let me lay these pliers on this wire. Maybe it'll stay where it's supposed to be. Wire's so unruly. Okay, so I have to figure out, let me lay that there, how many beads across here that I need to go. And I know that I want to use my tassels in the middle. So I've got 4 tassels here, and I want to hang them all in the middle of this. So they kind of hang down and look like a little fringe. And I'm going to put these blue beads in between my tassels. Okay, so just like that. So I just want to kind of lay this out here and get it to where it's really close, fitting right through here, okay? So I have some more blue beads. Let's see what I can do here. I've got a blue bead here and a blue bead here. And what, I have 3 more. So I don't have enough to reach all the way across both sides. So I think I will use one of these white beads and kind of draw the white up here. White, white. I could do another blue, and another white on each end. Okay, so white and white. And that should fill in my first row if all goes as it looks like it will. So I'm just going to take this, and I like to lay my pliers on this to kind of keep it still, just so it's not rolling all over my bead mat. And then I'm just going to go ahead and load my beads on. So we had a blue, a white, another white, and another blue. Okay. And then, let's see, how did I do this? I need to make sure I have the right amount. Okay, then do we do a tassel, a bead? Yeah, okay, so then my tassel's gonna go next. Then my blue bead. Then my tassel. Then my next blue bead. Tassel. Blue bead. Tassel. Okay. Okay, blue bead, white bead, blue bead, white bead. And I think this is it. Let's look and see if that's going to stretch across. And it's pretty close. So I think we're going to stick right with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to start wrapping. Now, I want to wrap up, okay? So I'm going to hold this still and I'm stretch it across, and I'm just going to start wrapping up the frame. Just try not to kink your wire. Whoops, pull that back down. And I'm just going to go up several wraps, probably 5 or 6 here, and then we'll evaluate where we're at. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to scoot these down to where they're neat. And there we have our first little row of beads. Really cute, huh? All right, so now we've got to do our second row. I'm going to wrap around a couple more times, a few more times, because I want to leave enough room. I don't want the rows to be, you know, too close together. Whoops. And try not to kink your wire up when you get in a hurry, like I just did. That's what happens. Okay. We go around. And I'm just going to scoot this down again with my thumbnail and pull it tight. Probably go around a few more times. Okay, and scoot it down again, and let's see what we've got here. It's not wanting to scoot down. So you can take your pliers and kind of force it to. Okay, there we go. All right, so now if I go across, I've got about that much room. I might go up just a couple more. I just want to have enough room so they're not, I don't want them to be touching. Okay. And I may end up having to add wire as I do this. I hope I don't, but I may. All right, now, so if I do a small row, I kind of like to do a bigger row next to it, like larger beads. So I think maybe these guys, let's put them on here. I've got 4 of them, which pretty closely fills that up. And I have a couple of bead caps that I'm going to use in the middle. So let's try this and see. Okay, so I'm going to put on 1 bead. Okay, and then I'm going to do a bead cap, my next bead, and a bead cap. Okay, and then I'm going to do another bead cap, bead, bead cap, and my last bead, and we'll see if it's enough to stretch across. Yep, looks pretty good. It's got a little room on either end, but I think it's okay. I guess I could add maybe a couple of these smaller crystals in there. Probably would be a good idea because I don't really want these floating around on the on the wire too much. So let me do that. We'll put a small crystal in, then the big bead again, bead cap, bead, bead cap, bead cap, bead, bead cap, other big bead, and our small crystal. We'll see how that works. Sometimes it's trial and error. You have to really just see what works, and if it doesn't, try something different. Okay. That's pretty good. That takes it pretty well right across there. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap. Okay. I'm just going to go up several wraps this time because we've got to get above these kind of bigger beads. And again, make sure you're wrapping up your frame. Okay. Let me scoot these up and down together. There we go. Scoot the whole thing down a little. And if your frame moves a little or gets out of shape, it's okay. We'll fix it in the end, okay? Don't worry too much about it. I mean, I'm trying not to bend it too much. And if you work hardened it enough, hopefully it won't bend around too much. I probably could have done mine some more, but I was tired of pounding the cement with the hammer, to be honest. I was just tired of it. All right, so I went up about 3 more, and let's take a look. Okay, so there that is. I still need to go up a couple, I think. Okay, scoot this down. Ouch. It's not good for your fingernail. You might want to use your pliers. Okay, now let's see what we've got here. I could scoot that up just a tad. You can adjust it on your frame a little. And I really still feel like I need to go around a couple more times to give just a little bit more room between this row. Okay. I think that should do it. Okay. All right, now if we go across, here's what we're gonna have. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Okay, goodness, that hurt my finger now. Okay, now let's see what we've got. I've got a row of, let's see, it would be nice to do a row of just white beads, but I don't think I have enough. Maybe I do. Let's see. No, I don't think I have enough to do just white beads. Because these are smaller. They're gonna stand on their sides. These disc beads here. I don't think that's gonna be enough, but let me just try it and see. Because it would look good right there, I think. Let's take a look and see. I don't think it's gonna be long enough. Nope. Not at all. Now I could put something silver on either end. I've got a bunch of silver beads here, or I could do just some crystals. Let's see. I think maybe silver on either end would be pretty. Let's do these. Let's do a couple of these guys, because I think this would make it. We would have enough beads if we use a couple of these or silver rhinestone beads. What did I do? I needed to start with. Let's see. Oh, I missed one in between there. Okay. Get my beads on right. Okay, white bead, disc bead, white bead, disc bead, and the silver rhinestone bead. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's perfect. So we'll go right across here with this. And again, wrap up your frame. Stretch it across here, and you want to make sure that your wire's tight. Okay, and you know it stretches across taut. You don't want a lot of slack in there. Okay, and I'm just going to wrap up. I'm just going around several times, trying to make sure that I get enough room to put my next row on without them hitting each other. Okay, going to scoot this down. All right, now let's take a look. Probably need to go around a couple more times. 1, 2, we'll go about 3 or 4 probably. 3. One more, we'll do number 4. And let's see here. Okay. Now if we go across, here's what we've got. Okay, so I'm going to go around a couple more times. It just needs a little bit more room there. Okay. I think that'll be good. Okay, now I'm going to do a row of, whoops. Let's see, I've got all of these crystal beads. I have these disc ones, which I think are so cool. They're like flat. So they would be really pretty in this next row. And it looks like that many would fit perfect. So let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. 2, 3, 4, and one more. 5. Stretch them across. Yep, that's pretty good. So wrap up your frame again. It's getting a little tight in here. Okay, there we go. Stretch them across, make sure your wire's tight, and go up your frame. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna scrunch this up. Looking pretty good. Okay, I go around a couple more times. The next bead I'm going to put on is kind of a larger one. So I'm going to make sure that I have enough room for it to go on here. Okay, I need a couple more wraps. Okay, now let me scrunch them down a little. Okay, I'm going to go back through one more time, so I'm coming out this way. And we're going to put this bigger bead on. Now, let's see how it's going to fit, if it's going to need something on either side. It kind of looks like it does need something on either side, and let's see what I have here. I have a couple of crystal beads that are, I don't know if that's going to be too much. Let's try it and see. Again, a lot of times with this, it's trial and error. You just have to try and see what fits. And that's going to be too much, that bead is. So what I'm going to do here, I may have to pull some small spacers from my own stash. Let me look here. I have some random metal spacer beads here. Let's see. I have some really tiny ones, but I don't know if I want to go that tiny. Here are some little, let's try this. Let's see. These are like some little just metal spacers that I don't even know what they came in, but here they are. And they may work for this because they're small, just enough to fill up a little space there. So yeah, I think that may work. So let's do the same thing on the other side. It's like literally like a 1 millimeter spacer. They are so tiny, these. And we'll use this guy too. And now when we stretch it across, that's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap. Pull it tight. And wrap. And this bead is going to spin. It just does. It just spins around. There's really nothing that you can do about that. I could probably wire wrap it somehow to make it sit straight, but I don't really want to. I think when you have it on, this is going to lay against your body, so he won't spin so bad then. Okay, get that out of the way, and let's just wrap up, and then we're going to put one more bead in the top here, in this little pointy part, but we've got to get up there above this bead. So I'm just wrapping. Wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. Okay. All right, scoot that down a little. Still need to go through several times to get up here. Okay. I want to make sure that one stays straight. You can adjust this a little at the end when we're done. We can, you know, make sure that our strands are all straight across and everything. But right now I'm just wrapping enough to get above this bigger bead. Okay. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to put a cube, one of these really pretty crystal cube beads in this top. Okay, scoot this down a little. We're just about there. I know it's a ton of going around this little frame, but number one, it's going to strengthen the frame, so that's good. And it also, we just have to get above this bigger bead, because you don't really want them kind of laying on each other. That would look weird. Okay. One more time through, and I think that this will be good for the next one. Okay, so I'm going to put a cube bead in here. I'm just going to slide it right on, cube bead. And that's perfect, okay? And then I'm just going to wrap up above this cube bead several times, and I want to try to pull this tight. Okay. He's kind of, there we go. So let's just wrap above to secure him on here. And I don't think that I want to put anything else. I do have one tiny blue bead that I could stick right in there, but no, if I do that, that's going to crowd it up. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Sometimes less is more. We're just going to continue to wrap. Just several more times here. Okay, so that is probably pretty good for the cube. And I'm just going to take this around to the back and I'm going to trim it off. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and kind of tuck it around, just so it goes around the frame and lays flat. You just don't want it to poke anybody, so I just flatten it right down on the frame. Okay, and here's what we've got. Here's our cute little pendant piece. So if you have any wires that need to be kind of tucked or straightened up, you can do that. If your piece is kind of crooked, you can fix it. You can scoot these little guys down a little. And you can even spread out the coils if you need to a little bit, just so that it these are kind of laying the way that you want them to be. Just take your pliers and work with it. Okay. But I think this looks pretty good right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hang it on our chain and fairy silk. So let me get stuff out of the way here. Okay, so I've got my piece of fairy silk here. Now, I could take a jump ring and hang it, or I could do this little loop-de-loop thing. And I think I'm going to do the loop-de-loop. So I'm going to stick it through here. And I'm just going to go like this. Whoops. Helps if you get both sides in there. So I'm just evening up the ends there. I'll stick it right through. There we go. And pull tight. Okay? So here's what we've got. We've got our little fairy silk connected on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chain, and what I want to do is kind of make this go through here for the first couple of links, just to look like it's kind of wrapped in, just like that. And I'm going to wire wrap it right on here. Okay, so let me see, do I want to try to go through there? I don't know if I can. If I had a needle or something, I probably could do that, but let me see if I can grab that through there with my pliers. I don't know if I really want it to go through there. Maybe I don't. But I just want it to kind of look like that it's wrapped around these first couple of links. Yeah, that's good, like that. Okay. Yeah, right about like that. Okay, so then I'm just going to take a piece of wire and I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to wire wrap this right on here. Okay, so it's kind of hard to get it started, but just do the best you can, get it started, and just start wrapping it around here. Okay, and then, whoops, sorry for the noise there. I'm going to take my plier. I'm just going to wrap this around, tuck it around so that it's just not going to snag anything or anybody or their clothes. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my wire and I'm just going to wrap this on and make sure that it's on really good. Kind of like this. I just thought this was kind of a cool way to attach it, just to make it look like it's kind of woven into the chain and then wired on. Okay, and I'm just going to try to cover up the whole end right here of the fairy silk where it's attaching to this link. I tend to just want to make tassels with this fairy silk because I love them. I think they're so pretty. But I was trying to branch out and do something a little different, not just another tassel here, but I do like the tassels with the fairy silk. I think it's so pretty. Just makes really cool boho looking tassels. And then I thought I would take the fairy silk and weave it through this entire chain. And when I tried that, it just didn't look right. I don't know. It didn't come out looking like I wanted it to, so I scrapped that idea. Thought the wire wrapping it onto the chain would be better, and I think I'd like it. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure it's on here. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but trying to cover up most of the blue just on the very tip here, so. Okay, all right. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so just wrap it and tuck it in or tuck it down. Again, just so it's not going to snag on anybody's clothes or skin. Okay. And there's what we've got for our one side. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, basically. So again, I'm just going to go through here and around and kind of try to keep it even with your other side. So really needs to go on the inside, I think, over here on this, because otherwise it's going to flip my chain. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here. I'm just trying to make sure they're hanging pretty much even. This one needs to be a little lower, I think. Right about there. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and take it through this piece. Maybe around one more time. And then I'm just going to take a length of chain, just like I did on the last one. And I'm just going to wrap it, okay? So the main thing here is just to make sure that it's even on both sides. And I believe it is. Okay, so I'm going to take another piece of chain, or wire, goodness, and I'm going to wrap, and you wrap, and I'm going to pause this video so you don't have to watch me do that again. Got both sides wire wrapped on here, and I've got a little of the blue fuzz hanging out of this side. I'm going to have to cut it off with some different scissors because these just are not sharp enough on the ends to get in there, so I'll have to do that with some different scissors. Now what you need to do is you need to hold this up on yourself, and you need to see how far you want it to hang down, okay? So it's totally personal preference. Mine is right about where I want it to be. I want this one to be kind of long because, I don't know, I just like these style boho things to be long and dangly. So I'm just going to put my lobster claw right on the end here and not worry about taking any links off, but you know, measure yours on yourself, see where you want it to be, and you'll have to, like I said, that's personal preference. You'll have to decide that for yourself or whoever you're making it for. So having trouble getting this little link off. Let me try to grab him with another pair of pliers. There we go. Get that off. Now I've got my little lobster here, little elephant guy, and I'm just going to hook him on with a jump ring. And we will be done with this necklace. So I like this one. I really wanted to find something unique to do, and it looked icy blue to me, like very wintry, and so I wanted to kind of keep that icy blue theme going. So let's go ahead and get him on here. And I don't need to put anything on here for him to clasp onto. This is one thick jump ring too. There we go. I'm just going to clasp him right onto here. So let me put him on a form, or put this on a form, and I'll be right back to show it to you. Okay, so here it is on a form in my light box. And I think it turned out really cute. So like I said, I will have links in the description box below for these Jesse James products. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, like it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.